So, Zanky has just recently unboxed Bloody Lawless and, it's Brutal Duinor L4 and Wonder Valtryek V4. Now, Wonder Valtryek, I think it has a pretty cool design. The designs, the designs are accurate to the anime, as the Karatomi ones were, which is a good thing, except for Achilles and Valtryek, which come in an anime accurate fin in the stadium that they come with. I forget what it's called, but the Rail Rush stadium they come with. There's also the blue Rail Rush stadium that doesn't come with any Beyblades. I don't know what the difference between them is. Hopefully there'll be a difference so there's more variety. But their drivers are slightly different from the originals. They have a locking mechanism. They have a mechanism. Wonder Valtryek's, I think you push it up and either push it up or push it down, and the driver isn't free spinning anymore on the volcanic driver, and Blade Lawless's thing is that when you push the driver, I don't know which way you push it, but when you push it, it becomes like a flat, like a giga flat, rubber giga flat, instead of a spiral. So they made some changes to the driver. I don't mind the driver changes. I kind of like Blade Lawless's changes. It's not the exact same thing as before. It adds more variety to the game. Who knows? Maybe there'll be a Hasbro driver that'll become competitive. Perhaps they might make a improved version of Eternal, or an improved version of Wedge. They make Wedge so wide that it becomes almost like WD. I don't think that's going to be the case, but they could make a competitive driver. And those drivers are to remind you guys. Hasbro drivers are compatible with the Karatomi Beyblades, so the drivers will make things interesting. Hopefully, there will be a game-changing driver that Hasbro will introduce. That'll be very interesting. And the discs are the exact same as before, which is good, because one thing that Hasbro has always done that's been consistent with the Karatomi has been the discs have always been the same with the Karatomi, which I kind of like, because I don't know, it kind of makes things less confusing when you're trying to tell the parts. But yeah, some people might be mad about them not changing the disc on 12, since 12 tends to break a lot of Beyblades a lot, so I'm kind of indifferent towards if 12 is changed. I kind of like it to be the original. Actually, no, I prefer it to be original than changed, but I haven't seen anybody rant about it recently, but people wanted it, but they didn't get it. But no one seems to be mad about 12 not changing. Mostly because they're busy getting mad at the controversial change. The most controversial change to the Cho-Z bays from the Turbo Bays. From the Cho-Z bays to the Turbo Bays, which is the removal of the metal on the layer. Now, for those who can't shop online, can't go online, that's gonna really suck, because you're gonna get a much more inferior version to much more inferior layer than you would otherwise, especially in this first wave, because in the first wave of Beyblade Burst, they put a lot of metal on the Beyblades. Like, they kind of lessened the metal as the Beyblades go on, like, you see a lot of metal in, like, Emperor Fornius and Win and Valkyrie, but then you see less metal with, Chozy Valkyrie, Revive Phoenix, and, see less metal also with, I guess kind of Archer Hercules, but there's still a couple Beyblades that have a lot of metal, like Dead Hades, but, overall, there's less metal as the generation goes on, which is good news for Hasbro. People who only do Hasbro Beyblades. However, it's a good thing for people who do Hasbro, who use Hasbro and Karatomi Beyblades, because it brings more variety to the game. Brings more variety. I was mad at it at first for being cheap, like a cheap version with no metal. But when you think about it, it brings more variety. It may be just a simple inferior version, but you know, it just brings. I know I keep repeating myself for more variety, but say you want a tournament that bans Beyblades with metal on them, you could do that with the Chozy Bays. You can have a battle with no metal. However, even though I like it, since I do Karatomi and Hasbro Bays, and I think it sucks for Hasbro, people who only do Hasbro, I think in the end of the day, it is a scummy business tactic at the end of the day. Even though I like it, it is a scummy business tactic at the end of the day, because you see, they did the same thing in Metal Fury, where they released hollowed out versions of not spin tracks, I can't get it. What was it called? I forget what the part was called, but you know the metal part, the discs. What we called the discs. You know what I mean by Metal Fury, like you know what I mean, the metal part of the Beyblade, the thing that makes contact with the other Beyblade. That is what they changed for Metal Fury, and they also changed some tips. They changed some performance tips, like they changed Big Bangs, Phantom Orions. They changed a bunch of tips. However, later on, what they did was they introduced recolors of the Beyblades. However, they were faithful to the Karatomi versions rather than their versions. They also released Beyblade Legends, which also had Death Quetzalcoatl with two things, with the heavier. I think it's called the wheel, the rock wheel. I think it's called the wheel. The metal part. So I think as time goes on, they're gonna introduce a metal versions of the layers. If not, they're probably not. They may or may not go back to these versions and make them metal, like the Wave 1, Wave 2, Wave 3. But like, I can see them making Beyblades like Dead Hades, like, you know, the Beyblades without the Beyblades with how do I describe it? You know how the new Beyblades are coming out? They have they don't have any room for the level chip. Is it called? Yeah, the level chip. Oh yeah, speaking of level chips, the Hasbro versions are compatible with level chips, if you're curious. But I don't think that's really that important, since level chips don't really improve performance. Although they do improve performance on Hasbro Beyblades more than they do to Karatomi Beyblades, but that's besides the point. The Beyblades without the level chips, I think that they're gonna put metal on, because I feel like I think like Takaratomi is introducing a new subgenre of Cho Z-Bays, you know? Because they don't have the level chip. There's something different about these Beyblades than early Cho Z-Bays, because they don't have the level chip. Their evolutions, like with Cho Z Valkyrie, it's like an evolution from the old Cho Z-Bays. I don't know, and like they have this metal part in the middle. Like a metal god chip, but like not a metal god chip, like it's there, but you can't take it out. I mean like a metal, yeah, level god chip. Yeah, I'm getting all the names wrong with all these things. But yeah, I think they're gonna introduce metal Cho Z-Bays, whether they be newer versions of the old, like Spark FX, if that's what I'm referring to, and if you're not, but like they're gonna introduce. Yeah, I'm going on and on, rambling on, but overall, they're gonna introduce. I think they're gonna introduce metal Cho Z-Bays, Z-Bays with metal on the layer. They've shown they've been capable of doing that. We've seen stuff like Luminor, L2, and Surge Excalius have metal. But overall, it's gonna be good for people who own Hasbro and Takaratomi, because it's gonna bring more variety to the game. But it may be bad for people who play Hasbro, because they might leave out some Beyblades. Like they left out, originally they left out Death Quetzalcoatl from having its original version, and they left out what was it? Who else did they leave out? I'm trying to think. They left out Fusion Hades from having its original version, its original heavier version. They may leave out Cho Z-Bays. Those Cho Z-Bays won't have a heavier version with metal. But overall, so the Hasbro people when you play with Hasbro, they are gonna miss out on some competitive parts. But for people who play Hasbro and Takaratomi, it's gonna be good because it's gonna bring more variety to the game. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the plastic replacing the metal on the Cho Z-Bays. And the other parts of Cho Z-Bays, but mostly the metal replacing. I mean the plastic replacing the metal. Bye-bye.